Today's session is addressing back care, which I think is always a really good thing to pay attention to. And in particular, kind of a general way of looking at the back, the spine, from your neck down to your tailbone. And to that end, we'll be practicing some of the classic yoga poses, standing poses and twists and that sort of thing. And in each of these classes, I try to find something through the week that's a bit of inspiration. It's a good thing to have in these times. I listened to a woman on podcast named Sharon Salzberg, and she's a long-time meditator from the United States. You know, we're talking about going back to the 70s. And in her podcast this week, she used the expression, or this quote is from her, I should say, "Every moment of our lives is a beautiful example of how we are all interconnected." And in a sense, we already know that. It's obvious, but we don't always think that way. We always think, I think of what's immediate to us. But there are the farmers who grow our food, the people that serve us, like the Garbos and the Ambos, and the people at the supermarket. And in that way, we can think of the body, I suppose, as being all interconnected. The neck bones are connected to the backbones and so forth. And I'd really like in today's session to be thinking and putting attention on the whole of the spine. And to that end, we'll start with some lying down exercises. So come onto your mat. And when you lie down on your back, have your legs bent and your feet on the floor. And we'll do these simple warming up exercises. So if you bend your knees into your chest and hold at the front of your knees and circle the knees, the thigh bones, and right into the base of your spine, and feel into that area with the small circles, and the other direction, and taking care of your lower back like a self-massage. And then from there, keep your hands onto your knees and draw the knees in closer to you, but at the same time move your sitting bones towards the floor. Let's tune into the breath. Exhale, and then inhale, straightening the arms, drawing the knees away from you. Exhale, knees come in, and inhale, opening the chest for the breath. When the knees move away from you, you're much more aware, I believe, I'm sensing and feeling this, of the base of your spine. And when you bring the knees in, I can feel that in my mid-back at the bottom of my rib cage. All right, and then last one, when your knees come in and exhale, drop your arms out to the side and then do a little rolly movement over towards your right hip. Your legs stay together, feet stay together, over to your left hip. And the closer you can keep your thigh bones towards your ribs, the more we'll be in touch with the mid-back area. Maybe the dorsal thoracic, the upper part of the back too. All right, and then last of all, when you bring your feet back down onto the floor, the arms are out to the side, keep your legs and your feet together and merely let your knees drop right, look left, begin to bring a little bit of movement to the neck in a very, very gentle way. Lovely. And then we'll finish, let's keep the knees over to the right, and then roll over onto that side and come up into standing, and all the way up into standing. Now I'll give you a moment to grab some props in case you don't have them completely handy. So typically we've been using a bolster, a blanket, a yoga belt, and a block. And in addition, let's have a chair right next to you. We won't use the chair immediately. We'll just keep that for later. And let's do some arm and shoulder stretches. So standing with your feet a little bit apart in Tadasana. Allow your shoulders to drop so they feel relaxed. And your arms loose at the elbow joint. Take the lock off the back of your knees in case that's making you clench your buttocks. And then inhale and bring your arms all the way up. And exhale back down to your side. Let's incorporate a kind of spiraling movement for your upper arms. So inhale the arms out to the side to shoulder height. Turn your palms up towards the ceiling. And then continuous inhalation, arms all the way up overhead. Let's keep the arms extended now and straight at the elbows and the inner shoulder blades down. And feel in that extension the whole of your spine, neck, down to your tailbone. Feel the weight of the tailbone as it draws downwards towards the floor and you reach for the ceiling. Imagine that you're holding a yoga block between your hands and press your hands into that imaginary block until your upper arm muscles switch on and connect with the shoulder joint and the upper back. And then let's let go and arms out to the side and back where you started in Tadasana, the home pose, with your arms loose again. Take a breath or two and relax your shoulders. And then bring your arms straight out from your chest, interlock your hands, turn your palms inside out, and give your wrists a good stretch there through the center of your palms. And then from there, bring your arms forward and up. That's a natural inhalation, but as we're doing static poses, make sure that you're not holding your breath. And that arm extension is accompanied by rhythmic breathing. See if you can lift your thumbs a little bit higher than your little fingers. And lift your back ribs away from your back waist. And then lowering your hands to shoulder height, change the interlock of your fingers, re-stretch, and up you go. Good. And keep your weight back onto your heels. For me, that keeps me more in touch with my back body. And that's kind of what we're all about in this session. And arms come forward and down, and relaxed and loose. Let's do this classic pose in using the arms in Gomukhasana. Raise up your left arm, tuck your left hand behind your back, and bring your right hand onto your elbow. So now that left arm extending up from your armpit to the tip of your elbow. You're not trying to pull your arm in any direction. So you're just giving a little bit of support there. Feel the stretch even on both sides of your body. And then bring the flat of your left palm into contact with your upper back. That has me press my middle finger into my upper spine. And then let's drop the arms and swing a little bit, loose as a goose, and right arm up, reach, fold it back, hold your elbow again. I've taken to doing these exercises once more where I just thought, oh, I've already done those over the years, I don't need to keep up with them. But I've also been doing free weights exercises. So actually, I'm getting a bit stiffer, probably stronger, but stiffer in my upper back and arms. And then let's let that arm go and swing free. So what I'm saying is we're just trying to balance mobility with strength. All right, and then left arm out to the left side from your shoulder. Give it a good stretch. Turn your thumb down. Roll your left shoulder forward, and then bring your left hand behind you and onto your back waist. I could do a little more here, and I'm going to give it a go, but you might be satisfied with where you got to in that movement, and it's plenty rotation for your shoulder joint. But I'm going to bring my right hand onto my left arm and see if I can scoot my hand up my back a little bit more. And now press the flat of your wrist into your back, and you'll get a very good bicep stretch. That's what I'm experiencing. All right, and then that's enough of that. Let loose. Give your wrist and your fingers a bit of a shake out. And then the other side. Right arm out. Turn your hand down. Turn your shoulder down. Bring your hand right behind you. Immediately you notice the difference between the two sides. And then on this side you might coax your arm in a little bit more, but make sure that's within your range of movement. I'm pressing my wrist flat into my back. Actually, that reminds me to elongate and stretch up to the crown of my head. And then let it go. Give a shake out. Both fingers, both sets of fingers, wrists, elbows, and like that. If we put this all together, and I'll probably need to use a yoga strap for this. Loose on both ends. I'll just flip the strap across my shoulder. And I'm going to do the whole Gomukhasana arm movement sequence. Bring the left arm up, fold it back, bring the right arm out, roll the shoulder, reach back. On second performance of this, and actually I've been doing this through the week, my flexibility is improved. But always work within your limits, within your range of movement. And then that upper elbow's up, the lower elbow's down. I'm holding on to the belt now because my hands aren't quite connected, and just giving a pull in opposite directions, a cross stretch. Lovely. And then let that go. And second side, right arm up and back. Left arm, bring it around. Good. See if you can walk up or down the belt. And if that's too strong in your shoulder joint, just have a loose grip, a loose reach back. And the top elbow up towards the ceiling, bottom elbow down towards your waist. Good. And enough. There. All right, and releasing the belt, releasing your arms, and back to Tadasana. Let's just spend a few more moments in Tadasana. So in your upright position, upright but not uptight. Elbow joint extends, shoulders extend down. And bring your weight a little bit more into your heels. You could even lift your toes off the floor. And just a slight lean back. And when you do that, I feel much more connected through all of my spine, the back of my neck, the shoulder blades, the back ribs. And then you, just as a test, you could go the other way and lean into the forefoot, almost to the point of losing your balance. And there's much more awareness of the front body then. And then let's come back to neutral, where you're poised between the forefoot and the heel, supporting you. Your arms are relaxed. All right, let's move on to a few standing poses. So let's have a block, which we will not need initially, but just leave it in front of your mat. And stepping out wide for Warrior Two pose. Turn your feet to the right. And then extend your arms out sideways from your shoulders. And give your arms a good stretch through the elbow joint to the pads of your fingers. For Warrior Two pose, bend your right leg, your knee bone over your ankle bone, and looking to the right side, extend your left arm to the left. See if you can lift your chest a little bit more. And then feel where the work is in the base of your spine. So let the tailbone drop and draw the buttocks in so they feel like they're right up against the pelvic bones. And then for the upper spine, drawing upwards through the space between the shoulder blades, through the neck, and through the crown of your head. Good. And then release your arms, straighten your leg, turn your feet the other way. Good. Reach your arms out, bend your left leg, look over your left arm to left, all along your straight left arm. Reach back your right arm. Good. And then feel into the back body again. The buttocks firm and supporting the base of your spine. And then the whole of the spine up through the neck to the base of your skull. Tall. Now open through your front chest. And then straight left leg. Turn your feet to center and drop your arms for a moment. And turn your feet to the right once more. Good. This time with your hands onto your hips, take your lunge. Check it out. Your patella directly above the front of your ankle. Your right shin bone perpendicular. And then keep your left hand onto your left hip. Bend sideways over your thigh bone and rest your elbow just above your knee joint. So supported Parsvakonasana and a side stretch. Once you've done that, then see if you can take a little bit of the weight off of your forearm just by lifting up from your elbow to your right shoulder. Beautiful. And then releasing your left arm, extending your left arm towards the ceiling. Extend the left arm over your left ear. Good. And then from there, connect with your back. And imagine, see if you can create a feeling of back bending in the upper part of your back as your shoulder blades move in towards the front of your lungs. Good. Keep on breathing and breathe into the back leg. And in one smooth movement, inhale and come up, lift up. Straighten that right leg and hands back to your hips. Turn your feet to the left. Good. Take a moment, consolidate, relax your shoulders, maybe roll your shoulders a couple of times. And then take the lunge on the right side. Left side. Left elbow, left knee, just above your left knee. My palms facing forward and upward. And then roll that left shoulder, right shoulder back. Good. And then right arm up. Turn your palm to the left and extend that arm through the elbow joint to the tips of your fingers. Extend your right hip back into your right heel. Lengthen as much as you can. And then bring that back bending movement to the upper part of your back here. The shoulder blades forward. Your left side forward. And let's come all the way up. Beautiful. And feet to center. And this time stepping all the way back in. All right, we've been pretty concentrated. Now let's do a pose that we can treat very lightly, not too seriously, and that is chair pose with a heel raise. So I'm stepping off of my mat so I can have a little more contact with the floor and the carpet here. And in your stance, a nice comfortable Tadasana to start with. And then for chair pose, just a simple drawing the buttocks back, flexing of the knees, a partial squat. Bring your arms up alongside your head. Good. Pause there. See if you can get the glutes to work a little bit more by moving your buttocks back further. And then here comes the heel raise, and leaning in a little bit, the heels come up, balance on the forefoot. Good, keep on breathing. And then can you keep the heels up as you come all the way up, straight legs to standing? And slowly lower the heels and your arms. All right, takes full concentration, doesn't it? All right, let's do that all over again. Now you know the pathway, and the arms swing forward and up as you sit back in that imaginary chair. All the way back, can you reach back a little bit more? And then heels up. And straightening up, but the heels stay up. And slowly lowering the arms and the heels. All right, let's take a challenge, a little bit more work in that pose. I'm going to step out wide, so I'm wider than the mat width, and turn the feet out 45 degrees. Bring your hands onto your hips. If you take a chair pose in this position, and that partial squat, kind of looks like a martial arts position, doesn't it? Or one of those Indian gods or goddesses. Move your knees back towards the little toe side of your foot. Good, so you're getting a really strong groin stretch there. And then if we represent the chair pose, we're going to bring the arms forward and up. Keep the knees turning outwards, the thighs turning outwards. And then finally, lift up your heels. Good. Notice if your breathing is being held, freely breathing still. And then can you straighten your legs with the heels up and all the way up, and arms down and heels down. One more time. Take your squat, wide leg squat. Take the challenge and the heels up. Knees are still rolling back. Good, you're breathing. And then straight legs all the way up, heels are up. And slowly lowering arms and heels. For some reason that was easier than doing the narrow position and stepping back in. Good, give your legs a bit of a shake out. Those quadriceps were working. Good. And now back on your mat, take a wide position. Turn your feet out slightly. And then arms out to the side. Good. We're going to incorporate something for your back now, which is a rotation as well as a sideways stretch. So, turn partially to the right side, look to the right, and then bring your right hand onto your right hip and your left hand in a forward bend over your right leg. Inhale and come up. And let's do that again, and it's just on that right side. And reaching out and down, right leg, and inhale and come up. And third time. And inhale up. And both arms out to the side. Stretch as much as you can across your back, across your shoulder blades. And then left hand, left hip. And then let's do that sideways movement and towards the left leg. Inhale up. Good. Test for your balance, a test for your lateral movement. And inhale up. And last one. And up. Good work. And then releasing your hand to your hip. And although I didn't call it, let's do that again and feel the connection of the arms and shoulders and shoulder blades with the upper part of your back as you go into this movement. Of course, you're rotating the whole of the spine, but those particular areas, and we'll start with both arms extended. And with the exhalation, reaching left hand, right leg, inhale and come up. Exhale, other side, right hand, left leg, and inhale up. Don't worry too much about the back arm, just getting an extension there, but do make sure that that's not a painful movement for you. I'm going to go one more time each side. I know it's a test for my balance as well as for the arm and shoulder and back movement. Good. And then hold it there, arms out wide to the side, and then hands to your hips, heel toe, back to center. And then take up your block. All right. So leaving the block right in front of the mat, just a little out from your mat. Step out wide again. And then bring the heels of your hands in a forward bend, heels of your hands onto the top of the block. And in that movement, instead of going down, think up by lifting your chest up, drawing your knees up, your thigh muscles up towards the hip fold, and then telescope the spine forward. Lift your sitting bones up, but feel your 2 feet on the ground, your footprints, creating a sense of groundedness. All right, and then from here, with just your right hand onto the top of the block, bring your left hand onto your left hip, and then do your rotation to the left side. When you've done that, just feel into your upper part of your back and connect that left shoulder and roll the left shoulder back. Good. And now move your right shoulder blade in, just to open that right lung a little bit more, and maybe looking up. Good. And then swivel, other side, support yourself, and right hand, right hip, turning to the right, right shoulder comes back. Good. And you're rotating certainly from your neck and your upper part of your back, but feel your ribs come around, left ribs to the right side, right ribs back. And then turning all the way back to center, supporting yourself onto your 2 hands again. Lift and open your chest forward. Lead with your breastplate. Good. And firm your feet once more. let's go left again. Your right hand's your supporting hand. Keep your left hand onto your waist as you turn to the left side. Bring your shoulder back as much as you can. And then merely bring your left hand onto the tip of your left shoulder. Left hand onto your left shoulder. Lift your elbow and open that shoulder a little bit more. Connect it a little bit more with your upper back movement. And then extend your arm. See if that's there for you. Now, we're all turned towards the left side. Recommit to the right side. Press your right footprint into the floor again. And then change. And here's your home base. Both hands onto the block. Shoulders back. Lead with your breastplate. Draw out. And then let's switch. The other side. Left hand supporting. Right hand, right hip. Turning. Good. It almost feels like your opposite leg wants to come with you. So firm that footprint again. And then tap your right hand onto your right fingertips onto your right shoulder. Lift your elbow. Turn a little bit more from your upper back. And then test the water. See how it's like to extend that arm up. Or keep your fingers onto the tip of your shoulders. Good. Can you turn your waist a little bit more? And then releasing back to center, back to home base. You can do away with the block possibly and bring the tips of your fingers down onto the mat. Your hands dome-shaped, arched in the center of your palms, and then draw energy from the ground through your wrists up to your elbows, your shoulders, and to create a lean in. Lean in slightly so your buttocks are coming forward. Your hamstrings are engaged. And then for the last part, just take a complete bow, release your head down. Take a couple of breaths there. Long in your neck. I just pulled my block in towards me. I could rest my head onto the block. That feels nice. If you're nowhere near doing that, then just release your neck and let your head hang free. Feel the breath in your belly, your diaphragm. All right, and then bring your hands up onto your block once more. Take that stage where you're lifting up and looking out. And then we're going to go heel toe, back to center. And when you come up, loose arms by your side and back to Tadasana. Okay? Not giving short shrift to Tadasana. Feet a little bit apart. Settle in there. Feel how supportive your feet are. How firm your ankles are. The buttock muscles just lightly engaged. And feel into the whole of your back. Moving from the base and the coccyx, sacrum, up the lumbar vertebra and the mid-back, upper back, back of your neck, crown of your head. All right, let's move on where we will need the chair. I'm going to take my chair and place it right up against the wall. And I'm going to be in a kneeling position with my back towards the chair. And just for my knee comfort, I'm going to put a yoga blanket there to kneel on. Not absolutely necessary, but why not? Why not be comfortable? So here I've gotten to that kneeling position and my back to the seat of the chair, and actually my buttocks are touching the edge of the chair. And when you're kneeling up like this, bring your hands onto the seat of the chair. You could hold the side of the chair, and that's a really good movement for your upper back and your dorsal thoracic and your shoulder blades. And it lends itself to taking the shoulders back, rolling the shoulders back and down, so that you can lift the front of your chest up. And I just dived into describing the upper body, but feel your base first. And there's your knees, your shin bones, the tops of your feet. To create a better sense of groundedness, feel that you can press the tops of your feet, the front of your ankles down, and then draw the front thighs up towards the hips. So we haven't done very much yet, but even here, there's a back bend for the upper part of your back. And protection for the lower back by bringing the tailbone down towards that space between your heels. And then finally, lift your chin a little bit and allow that to elongate the sternum, bottom of the sternum to the jugular notch, and looking up, and your shoulders are back. Good. And we're going to do a little bit more with that, but take a break for a moment and merely let your hands loose and your arms be relaxed by the side of your body. Drop your shoulders. Let's go again, and this time when you reach your hands back, I'm going to turn my hands away from me and bring the palms down onto the surface of the chair. And then from there, there's more access even there to bring the shoulder blades nearer to the center spine. And there's the back bend for the dorsal thoracic that sometimes we miss out on when we're doing other kinds of back bends. And then from there, it can be quite natural to take your gaze up, to look up, without cranking your head back. So the shoulders will stay down as long as you keep lengthening the back of your neck and looking up, and chest is up, and front thighs are up, and knees are down. And then let's take a break from that effort and come into seated kneeling position. And pause there just to consolidate with absolute do-nothing approach at the moment. Your hands resting on your legs, your shoulders relaxed. Right. We're going to keep the chair for the next pose, and in addition, you'll need the block. So blanket away if you had one. This chair, right up against the wall, you need a space on either side of it, and the block placed long side parallel to the wall. I'm standing to the side of the chair and facing the chair, and we're going to do a one-legged standing position plus a twist. So let your left leg be your standing position. Bring your right foot up onto the block. So we're standing on the left side of the chair, I guess. And then your right foot up onto the block. So when you're turning towards the wall and towards the bent leg, bring your hands onto the wall, and you've created a really lovely rotation for all of your spine. And the hands onto the wall just a little bit higher than your shoulders will remind you to keep your spine lifted, lengthening upwards, even as a standing leg, the left foot pressing down, completely supporting you. And allow the neck to rotate too. Just feel into a gentle neck rotation. All right, we're going to switch. So stepping down, come around to the other side of the chair and bringing the right leg as your weight-bearing leg and your left foot supported onto the block. First, stand tall and firm into your standing right leg, and then two hands onto the wall. That first rotation is fairly quickly to bring your hands onto the wall, but you can continue to turn by bringing your right side a little closer to the wall and then pushing into the left hand and turning the left side away. Good, and you're breathing evenly. All right, and then let's release from that. When you do standing twists, you have more access to rotating the spine because you're not in a crunched position. And so we'll stage this and we'll come down onto the chair now and sit right side to the back of the chair. So I'm going to go side saddle here. And 2 feet onto the floor. And in your sideways position, right side facing the back of the chair, just a simple rotation. Bring your hands onto the top of the chair. Rotates neck, shoulders, upper spine. And as we're turning, you begin to feel left knee coming forward of the right knee, and that's all well and good. So we're rotating more of the mid-spine now and the lower spine. So let's work with the breath, not to leave that behind. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and rotate. Inhale, make space. Exhale, create stability. Keep your shoulders relaxed. One more breath like that. And then before you come out to change sides, look over your opposite shoulder. Turn your head, lift your chest high, look over your left shoulder. All right, and then spin around. Have 2 feet on the floor again. And knees slightly apart. And then that first rotation, hands onto the top of the chair. And turning a little bit at a time. And noticing the work in the part of the spine. Where do you feel it the most? I feel it initially in my shoulder blades, and then hanging in there and turning the diaphragm. And doing this with the breath and exhaling and turning a little bit further down the bottom of the rib cage. And then happily releasing, and let's come to sit facing out on the chair. So if you come a little forward, your buttocks just near the edge of the chair. And then walk your feet together, walk your knees together, and do just a little forward bend over your legs. Just a little bow forward. We're going to incorporate a twist here again. And turning towards the left, look to the left, lift up your right arm, and bring your upper arm, your elbow, all the way across to the outside of your left knee. What are you doing with your right hand? You can just rest it onto your thigh. And then see if you can coax a little bit more rotation. Bring your elbow over that little bit more. And then once you've done that, then wedge your elbow into place. Press your elbow, lift your chest. Lift that right side of your chest. Now finally, cast your arm back behind you. That's your left arm now. And hold on to somewhere along the chair. I can reach the top of the chair there. And then recommit to lifting and opening. Press your elbow, lift your chest. Roll that right shoulder back. Good. And then feel this in the whole of the spine, but mainly in the upper part of your back. And then release. And back to center. Both hands onto your thighs. Lift up for a moment. Consolidate. And then turning your torso towards the right side. And lift your left arm. Bring it across your legs to the outer thigh. Once you're there, that elbow pressing in helps you, reminds you, lift up, turn, and then cast the right arm back. Where can you hold? And then one more round, lifting and turning with the breath. You might get a little more of a feeling for this if you bring the top shoulder blade closer to the spine, the bottom shoulder blade further away. Okay, good work. A version of Malasana you've just done. Step your feet apart and bring your elbows onto your knees. Link your hands and just consolidate there with a few easy breaths. We're going to move to the floor. So we started standing, sitting, and now moving to the floor with some twisting movements. And I'm going to get a blanket to sit on. All right, I've got a yoga blanket that's folded in 3. We often fold it like this. It's got a little corner, a little wedge on the side. And starting from kneeling position, I'm going to sit my left hip onto the corner of the blanket with my knees pointing forward. So you're lopsided. Your hip is supported onto the blanket, and when you sway to the side like that, your feet are still on the right side of your right hip. Feet on the right side, hip on the left side, and then we're going to turn to the left. Bring your right hand across your left knee, your left hand behind you. And you've started your rotation, and that's all well and good. Relax your shoulders. Much easier to rotate your upper spine if you can stay relaxed there in the upper back. And if you like, you could pull a little bit on the knee, right hand onto the knee, and rotate a little more deeply upper back, and maybe even mid-back, where your back ribs are. I'm going to take my left hand a little further around to the right, shoulder back, And then maybe the sense of a back bend, the camel pose preparation that you did on the chair, and drawing the shoulder blades in towards the front chest. Good. And then let that go, and we're going to swap it over. Take as much height underneath that right hip as you need to, and that will help you stay upright in the position. So the feet are to the left this time, the right hip is supported, knees facing forward. And then let's go left hand, right knee, right hand behind you. And that kind of initial spinning of your chest. So a little tug onto the knee if you want. But you could just use your breath to good result here. On the exhalation, turning more. And then on the screen of your mind, more of a back bend in the upper part of the back. Maybe it would help to tilt your chin up. Good. And breathing. And then all the way back to center. And let's give the legs a good stretch. In Dandasana. So legs straight out. In Dandasana, and off the blanket now, reach round and draw the buttocks back away from the sitting bones. Rock a little bit side to side onto the sitting bones. And if you're a long way from being able to straighten your legs there, then it's fine just to bend them a little bit, and that will help you sit more upright. Good. Bring your hands behind you, push into your hands, and then draw the chest out over the thighs. Good. Let's incorporate a different movement for the spine. I'm going to go back to sitting on my folded blanket and bringing the legs into the splits. Before you get set up, have a yoga strap near to you. When you're seated in these forward splits, you're still on the very edge of your sitting bones. Flex your feet. We haven't worked so much with hamstring stretch. And so here, when you flex your feet, draw your toes back towards your knees and really give a good stretch behind the legs all the way to the heels. In fact, turn in a little bit on your heels so you're right in the center of your heel bones. All right. And then you can relax your feet and your ankles a little bit, but keep that stretch going at the back of your knees to your heels. And then take up your strap and take it onto your right foot, but hold it with your right hand only. In holding the strap here, I'm very close to my foot, and my right arm is directly over my left arm. My right arm is directly over my right leg, I should say. Bring your left arm around your back. And when you do that, see if you can... So you did this movement earlier in the arm stretches when we were standing. So bring that left hand all the way around towards your waist and turn your chest to face towards your left leg. Good. You're sitting up straight, and that's all working well. And then do a lean out over that right leg and begin that lateral movement of your rib cage and your spine. And I'm very close to holding my foot, so I'm going to do that, but just hold as near to your foot as you can. And then release that left arm, bring it out to the left side from your shoulder. Turn your palm up towards the ceiling. And now we're going to have the two arms extending laterally to the right side. And then you'll get so much more out of this, I think, if you lift your chest, lift your breastplate, lift your breastbone, lift your collarbones. Lovely, and then come all the way up. And take a moment. You've been going all in one direction, just sitting up straight. And then let's go. Lassoing the left foot. Hold the strap into your left hand. And bring your right hand all the way around your back. So the flat of your wrist is against your left waist, or you're aiming that direction. Good. Pull on the strap. That strap is taut, your arm is taut. Lift the left side of your chest. Turn towards the right leg. We're going to keep that momentum as you move up closer to your foot, much as you can. And in the last part, releasing right arm. Bring it out from your shoulder, stretch it up. Turn your palm up towards the ceiling, and then we've got both arms extending laterally towards the left side. Can you keep your right leg grounded? We did this in the standing poses. Even though you're moving away from one side, you're keeping that earthed. And then inhale and come up. And very good work. And legs straight forward, Dandasana. Stretch them out. All right, and then I think we'll do just one partial inversion, just to give a little sense of upside down. So your mat's free from any props. And from a kneeling position, like cat pose, come down onto your forearms. And when you do that, have your elbows directly underneath your shoulders. Link your hands. You can wiggle your fingers together so the base of your fingers are connected. And then stack your hands so that your palms are vertical. And there's just a space between your hands, a small space there, and your wrists are relatively straight. So you've just created a really good base for headstand. And in today's session, we'll go nowhere near going up into headstand. But do here, tuck your toes under, lift your knees away from the floor, and come into a kind of dog pose style movement for your hips and your legs and your feet. Then let your head drop. See how much you can let your head hang free. And then feel how much of a strong base you've created through your fingers, your wrists, your elbows, and lift up. And then come back to down to kneeling. Change the way you interlocked your hands. So even in a very supported kind of inversion like this, there's a kind of change of energy where you might even get a rush of blood towards your head. So make sure that you're breathing and you're not lightheaded, you're allowing for that. And then come into the setup again. A little space between your hands, your wrists are straight, and then firm your base. Start to lift your knees and your hips up. On this round, take a small step in closer to your elbows, and then your head comes closer to your hands. Still, your neck hanging free. Feel a connection with your base. So fingers to wrists, forearm to elbows, elbows to shoulders, lifting up, and attention onto your back.
shoulder blades, mid-back, and then come down, take a rest, and keep your buttocks back towards your heels as in child's pose. Draw your elbows in close to your knees. Stack your hands so that they're in light fists, one on top of the other, and rest your head onto your top hand. Just fold up neatly there, completely relaxed. All right, and then let's finish the sequence with a little attention to the very base of the spine, the sacrum. So grab your yoga block and in a lying position, so on your back, your block by your side, legs bent and feet on the floor, close to your buttocks. Press your feet, lift your buttocks away from the floor, and slide the block underneath the base of your spine. When you lower back down onto the block, you know pretty much which angle to have the block on. So I think with my block completely flat, it gives me time to consolidate and do a kind of check-in. How does that part of my body feel? How does, from the pelvic rim, with the support of the block underneath the sacrum, can I release? Can I let go? Or do I have a sense of holding tight there? Is it possible to acknowledge the support and yield to it? And as I do this, and maybe it's true for you too, then my belly muscles relax, rib cage at the front, bottom ribs. And then if you like, and you could see how this works for you, you start to step your feet away further away from the block. So now my legs are semi-straightened. And the more that I do that, the more of a hip stretch, the frontal hip stretching. Just feels really good. Those hip flexors getting extended. But I'm also noticing that I have to keep my legs somewhat tense to keep them straight out. So I'm going to go back to much more relaxation, legs bent, feet flat on the floor again. And knees, even the knees resting one against the other. From here it's easy to move into the relaxation, the yoga shavasana. So I'm taking the block out and finding my way to lying flat again. Get the things that make your position comfortable for relaxing. So a bolster for your leg support or a blanket for your head, eye covering. And give time to set yourself up. The Shavasana is time for self-care. To whatever extent, making yourself utterly comfortable. And starting from having had your legs bent, Resting maybe onto a bolster, extend the legs out. And then wrap your arms across your chest. The arms cross over, your fingers towards your outer shoulder blades. Rock a little bit on your upper part of your back, side to side. When you've done that and your upper back is nuzzling into the mat, leave your arms out from the side of your body a little distance and draw your shoulders down and your shoulder blades down towards your hips. Let your feet fall out, your knees drop out, your elbows relax and shrink a little bit so the arms feel fully supported. Take note of which parts of your back make contact with the floor. Obviously the buttocks heavy into the mat, the heel bones. But as far as your spine, the sacrum supported, and hopefully fairly even where you lie on the base of your spine. And then the area above the pelvic rim, the lumbar spine, with its natural curve, inward curve. The back of the diaphragm. And the back rib cage. Feel the shoulder blades wrap around the ribs towards the outer ribs. And the upper spine. Merging into the back of the neck and to the occiput, the base of the skull. Release the whole of the back body. Let it become heavy in its release. And then supported in this manner, just let go. Let loose. As you rest a little bit longer, the back body might feel wider in its support of the front body in its release. And invariably, we have to begin to think about letting go of the Shavasana position. We'll do that in stages, coming fully back into your body, the senses of your body. Aware of your breath. Create some small movements, fingers and toes. And then as you wish, as you're ready to, roll over onto one side in a curled up position. And just staying side lying to acknowledge that there's no rush here whatsoever. Take your own sweet time to come up to a kneeling or a seated cross-legged position.
And when you've done that, then straight away, bring your hands into prayer position and pausing there, pausing for reflection. So we've done a full class on connecting with the back body, where your hands rest on just in front of the sternum. Open up the frontal body, elevate the heart, incline your head towards your chest. And perhaps in the last part of the session here, feel that interconnectedness with all of us doing yoga practice, in gratitude for the yoga that brings us together. We say namaste and thank you.